Good afternoon, folks. Welcome. Just making sure that we're actually on. We are playing. Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Jason Watterson, and welcome to the Trust Safety Shorties. Today we're doing a presentation. I want to talk to you about doing bump tests for confined space meter, for gas meter. And I was going to do this live with my mobile device, but having some troubles with YouTube, so we're going to do it here with the desktop. And so I'll show you the equipment as we go along instead of having a nice mobile device to work there. A lot of you work with confined space entry, and you have to have an air meter that will protect your life. This is really your lifeline to show you what you're dealing with when it comes to the gases that are within that confined space. It could be low oxygen, it could be a flammable environment, any number of things, even toxic things like carbon monoxide or hydrogen sulfide. And so we need to make sure that meter is working correctly. If it's not working correctly, it's not going to protect you, and it might even give you a false sense of security that you're protected within that confined space. So, in today's quick safety cast, we're going to take you through bump testing that meter. The bump test is a process. It's not calibrating. It's just checking your meter to ensure that it's working correctly. And you'll need some equipment to be able to do that. Have that available here. We have a calibration gas. This is something you have to buy that, and I'm not saying that this company that we buy it from is exactly where to go. I'm not advertising for those guys, but they have taken good care of me here. This calibration gas, as you can see along here, has the various constituents that we're talking about. Carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, methane, that's for our lower explosive limit percentage, oxygen and nitrogen is the balance there. And it's at set concentrations, and so this is an important part to see. Also, thing that's important on this bottle is we want to look and see how long it's good for. So this says on here, use before 3/16/2020. So we're still good. If that number has expired, then you know this stuff is not okay to use. So this is an important part of this. We take this cylinder and we hook it onto a regulator. Okay, pretty simple process. It just screws into place, screw it firmly in place. We have a gauge on there, and you'll notice as I turn this on, that needle goes up, and so we're well over 700 pounds. So we absolutely have enough gas to be able to do a bump test. I've turned it off now because it stinks. It smells like hydrogen sulfide, and it's also something that is not something that I want to be breathing because it's a toxic gas. I have my confined space meter, and yours may look different than this, and your other equipment may look a little bit different, but the process is basically the same. I take this meter and I will turn it on. So with this meter, I push the button and hold it down. It will count down. Okay. And then it'll go through a startup. I'll tell you what the version is, calibration. It tells me the alarms, and verify that those alarms all make sense when it comes to each one of those gases. Once it goes through all of those, then it's going to come up and read. Okay. We've got one flashing, it's working on something there, and I've also got a little exclamation point there, and that's something I've got to send into the shop. And so you need to know what each one of those things are, but I can do a bump test on it and make sure that we're good to read for today. So we look at this, I'm reading 20.9% on oxygen, that's exactly where we want it to be. Look at that number on carbon monoxide, it's moving, it goes from -2 to 0. Well, that means when I did my 0 calibration, I must have been in a little bit of dirty air, and so that's something I'll want to do that 0 again. and reset that. But let's go ahead and do our bump test. We're sitting at 0, and a little bit of fluctuation there is okay. So if I'm hitting a -1 on carbon monoxide, I'm not going to get terribly worked up over that. However, if I'm out 4 or 5 parts per million, something like that, I definitely want to make sure that that's calibrated appropriately. Okay, so let's go through this. This is the pump that I use, that I have this hose that I'll drop down into the vault or the manhole or whatever that confined space is, so I can take a reading at different levels. Okay, this is a battery operated, and so when I insert this meter in there, it will turn on and start to instantly draw air through that hose, and I have that hooked up to this cylinder. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to turn on the cylinder. And it's going to get stinky in here, and I push this button, or I push this in, and it'll start flowing. With this model, I actually have to turn off, or have to close off the flow of air, so I make sure that it is so that the alarm will work if in the event that it stops flowing. Okay, now I'm going to allow this to flow for a few seconds to allow the sensors to acclimatize to that. And I definitely have some alarms going off. And if I look on here, I can read those numbers. So you can see that top number. I'm at 49%. It should read 50%, because that's what it says on my bottle. My second alarm should be reading 25 parts per million. Oops, excuse me. No, I'm sorry. I was reading the wrong one. Oxygen should always be the first one. It's reading 17%. That's what it says on the bottle, so I'm reading right. The next one I'm looking at is 101 parts per million, and that's for carbon monoxide. And it says 100 there. Okay, we're within tolerances. And that last one is hydrogen sulfide. It's reading 23.4. And on my bottle, it says 25. Now, I'm enough out there on that one. I'm going to let it stabilize here for a minute. But I'm more than a part per million out on that hydrogen sulfide. That's pretty serious. I'm going to turn this off. Okay. Because that is out a little bit, I'm going to recalibrate that meter. I'm sorry, guys. I got that noise going on. I'm going to recalibrate this meter because I'm not reading accurately. Don't forget to turn off your gas. And I'm going to take it through the process to recalibrate it. If it reads exactly right, I'm good to go. Within some minor tolerances. If I'm tenths out, or like I said, within 1 part per million on carbon monoxide, and it's kind of bouncing around that number, then I'm going to be okay there. Some of you will have a bump test unit that you can just plug this in. Those are really handy. But we can do this really simply by using our bottle of calibration gas and our calibration unit, whether it's a pump or whether it's a specific calibration unit. This one's pretty close, and so I will take it, just run it through a calibration cycle. Within your organization, you should have somebody that is trained to do a calibration, and that's as simple as it is to do a bump test. So for any of you out there that have questions or comments about this, please go ahead and type those in. We'd love for you to subscribe to our channel. Just click subscribe, and then also click on the bell so you get notifications when we go live. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and look forward to more material from us later. Have a safe day.